It's time for me to address this issue that is taking place between me, Tino Mambeu, and Todd Maforimbo. This discussion that is taking place on social media with videos going back and forth. Now, I wasn't going to address this issue, but it's important for me to put down a record. In February, Todd Maforimbo came from the United Kingdom into South Africa. He contacted me through Facebook and asked for us to meet. Now, I didn't know him in person. I only knew him because of Facebook. So when he reached out, we agreed to meet in a place called the Glen. I went through to the Glen. I met him at the Glen. With us in that meeting was a guy called Tino Mambeu. I'd never met Tino Mambeu before. It was the first time meeting him together with two other gentlemen. We sat down, we had our niceties, and then we get into a discussion. In this discussion, Tino Mambeu takes control of this conversation or forum. And he begins to say, guys, it's time that we do something about Zimbabwe. We need to do something about Zimbabwe, and it's very important that we as Zimbabweans, young Zimbabweans, have got to go back home and overthrow the ZANU-PF government. And to do this, we need to look for weapons from ex-Rhodesians, weapons from ex-South Africans, and after that, we go home, we fight. Immediately, I told him to stop. And I said, I don't understand why you guys invited me to a meeting, knowing very well that I'm a patriot, knowing very well that I stand for Zimbabwe, I defend Zimbabwe. Why would you invite me to this meeting? Immediately they said, no, we think that as a young activist, because your voice is heard, you need to take a stance with us to overthrow the government. I said, I don't accept that. As far as I'm concerned, our country is under imperial attack. The sanctions are a manifestation of imperialism, and we need to stand up as a people to fight these effects, these things that we are crying about in Zimbabwe that are caused by these sanctions. I also told him I believe that we need to unite as young people, young Zimbabweans, to start playing our role, using our education to better our country, to collectively invest, to collectively innovate, and to build that country because nobody else is going to build it. I told them that in as much as we are in the diaspora, we need to utilize the advantage of being in the diaspora to raise money that we can invest in Zimbabwe, to raise money collectively and to invest it in Zimbabwe in projects that can enhance the country, projects to control our resources. It is very important for you to understand why I had to do this. There were 4 people I'd never met before talking to me about something called treason. They were talking to me about overthrowing a government. I didn't know if any one of them were secret agents. I didn't know if any one of them were police officers. I was not going to be party to talking treason, not only because I'm a patriot, but because it's dangerous to talk treason. It is a criminal offense, and it is a capital punishment offense. From there, we went on to discuss other things, but they got my message clearly. I never decided to act on what happened on that day because I thought they got my message clearly. And I also thought that they were harmless. There was nothing that they were going to do. But just 2 weeks ago, we've seen a guy called Chinotenda coming onto the public forum, wearing military regalia, talking about overthrowing the government of Zimbabwe. I was immediately reminded about this conversation that I had with Tino Mambeu. At a meeting where we were talking about our sanctions march, someone then warned us that Tino Mambeu was intending to disrupt our march with a pro-sanctions march. Immediately, I decided to warn our security agents that we have got a person that has spoken to me about overthrowing the government, seemingly acting in a way that seeks to undercut the government and undercut SADC as a whole in its agenda to fight imperialism on the continent. Now, listen to this and listen carefully. It is my obligation as a national to expose people that are a threat to my country. It is an obligation for me as a man to defend my country from threats internal and external. You all know that I'm standing up and fighting sanctions. That's why I'm wearing this. You all know that I'm standing up and fighting imperialism, colonialism, and racism on this continent. None of you should be surprised that if you talk to me about destroying my country, I will turn on you. It's not surprising that if you talk to me about destroying Zimbabwe, I will fight you, because I'm already fighting the United States government in this process. I'm already fighting people like Strive Masiwa that are complicit with destroying Zimbabwe. Who the hell does Tino Mambeu think he is for me not to fight him for doing the very same thing? I stand up for Zimbabwe. My family lives in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is my only country. In as much as I'm a refugee right now in the diaspora, trying to earn some money to mitigate the effects of sanctions, doesn't mean I don't love Zimbabwe. I love that country. I live for that country. And for those of you who think it's glamorous to stand where I stand, I'm standing for issues that are unpopular. None of you support what we do because you hate your country, you hate Africa, you think that the Europeans stand for you. There's nothing glamorous about it. I don't get points on social media for what I do. I do it for my country. And I don't do it for ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is not Zimbabwe. 16 million people, 16 million minds, 16 million spirits, ideas, history, mistakes, successes, creations. That's what's Zimbabwe. Our future, our resources, our potential is what is Zimbabwe. That is what I protect. And if it so happens that the leadership of Zimbabwe benefits from my stance and position of supporting a country and supporting the leadership of that country to stop divisions, I still say it's worth it. But let you understand that I will not let you destroy my country while I watch. I will not let two people risk 16 million people's lives, my family's well-being, my future, by them trying to advance their own selfish intentions. And so to you, Todd Maforimbo, and you, Tino Mambeu, I will not stop fighting people like you because you are beginning to create this impression and narrative that it's okay for black Zimbabweans, for young Africans to stand up and sell out the continent. We need to get to a time where there are laws to fight people like you, and we need to get to a time where even me as a citizen, I can be able to effect a citizen's arrest for anybody who threatens our country. I'm in an airport right now. If I shout bomb right now, I'll be arrested and I'll probably spend the next 30 years in prison. I'm in an airport in South Africa right now. If I was in Britain or America and I threatened to attack America, I'll be put on a terrorist list, and on that terrorist list, I'll be put in prison, and that's even if I'm not sentenced to death or killed by agents of those countries. Why the hell should we tolerate Zimbabweans who think it's fashionable to sell out the country? People died for Zimbabwe. Our ancestors died. Their heads are sitting in London. And some idiot is talking about overthrowing a government that has been elected democratically. Some idiot is complaining about the effects of sanctions that they support, and then they want to overthrow a government for the effects of sanctions that have been put by other people. We're not Libya. We're not Libya. We're not Iran. We're not going to let this shit that has been taking place all over the continent happen. We're going to fight you, those of you who think that it is fashionable to destroy our families' lives and our country and 16 million people's lives for your selfish intentions.